It's a beautifully clear day at the Ottawa Tennis and Lawn Bowling Club here in the nation's capital for the 2017 NCTA City Championships. In the men's division, it's James Ferguson versus Sasha Mironov. James Ferguson, a former accountant who has gone into the tennis industry, will be playing. He's 44 years old. This kid, just 18. Dan Mooney alongside Chris Cato for this one, and it's age versus youth versus experience in this one, Chris.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of that right now on the ATP World Tour with the 36-year-old Roger Federer just winning everything nowadays. So we can see that in this sport, age sometimes really is just a number. So we got a good balance here of youth versus experience, and I think we're in for a pretty highly competitive match.
Sasha Mironov has won 3 local tournaments this season. He won at Elmdale, he won at Kuhnstadt, and James Ferguson is a beast here in the nation's capital. He got by defeating Ludi Marcon, Love, Aaron Tossing, Love and 1, Jim Fawcett, Love and 2, and Grant Gibson 4 and 1 in the semifinal to get to this final. But from what I'm told, you'd think that the young kid is going to run this old guy into the ground, but that's not the case. This guy's a battler, James Ferguson.
And even some of the previous opponents, you mentioned Grant Gibson, that's a guy who's still pretty young in his career as well, a Barhaven champion last year and a former winner of this event as well, and he handled him pretty easily. So that's the thing with age, is that we always talk about he brings a lot of experience, very solid on both wings, very excellent, good serve. So I don't think it's going to be coming too much into a factor here, but of course Sasha's got the fresher, younger legs, and that might be good if the match goes a little longer.
Mironov had a bye in his opening round, defeated Julian Champagne 3 and 4, Robert Donders 0 and 3, Carlo Zambri 3-6, 1 and Love, and then Simon Lavoie Perouse 5-7, 4, and then won the final set 7-5. So Sasha Mironov has played a lot more tennis in this tournament than James Ferguson.
Yeah, and especially that last match, which was an upset of the #1 seed, going into a 3-set decider there. So a little extra tennis, but at 18 years old, he can afford to play maybe a couple extra sets or two. So I think he'll be excited and ready to go. And near perfect conditions here, Dan, about 22 degrees, just a slight gust of wind, but not too much. We're really in for some good conditions here.
James Ferguson set to serve to open this men's final. Ferguson in red, Mironov in blue. And the first unforced error of the afternoon is Sasha Mironov, almost a little lackadaisical on that forehand.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe it could be some nerves coming here in the first game. Obviously, both players are just going to try and find their range.
All here in the opening game of the 2017 NCTA men's final. Oh, Ferguson comes to the net beautifully.
Dan, I'd love to see that in 2017. The serve and volley is a play that we're really not seeing much often, but that is an excellent play here. Good setup here with the serve out wide. Beautiful volley into an empty court.
Forced error by Mironov. So 40-15, Ferguson looking to hold serve to open things up. And that a little long and interesting that these guys will play more of a serve and volley game as opposed to the women. In the women's final, was a lot of baseline, just hitting back and forth. Oh, the forehand winner by Mironov, and we're at deuce.
Yeah, Ferguson just a little heavy-handed with that volley. Surprised to see the second serve and volley coming here, but kind of stuck in no man's land. Ferguson and Mironov picked the high percentage cross-court winner.
So now with a break point for Mironov with the advantage here.
And you're noticing, Dan, a little bit, it is a bit warmer than what we had earlier previously in the day. That means the balls are going to fly just a little bit more. Maybe just a slight humidity in the air. You're noticing the balls jumping a lot more off the court.
And Ferguson to the net for deuce number 2. Just a tad long. And a double fault by Ferguson.
And that's the tough thing with the serve and volley, Dan, is you're trying to position your body in a way so that you're already moving forward, but you have to be set enough with your balance that you make sure you hit that second serve and not run straight through it.
Mironov getting everything back. And we're back to deuce again.
And he probably had a little bit more time there on that shot. Could have maybe gone cross court instead of the lob. Of course, Ferguson is a pretty tall guy, probably around 6'2", 6'1" maybe. So getting a lob over him a little bit more difficult.
Advantage Ferguson. Oh, didn't get the net cord on the second one. And we're back to deuce number 5.
These are one of those types of games that could really decide the outcome of this opening set. If Sasha Mironov can somehow hang in here and get an early break.
Ferguson coming to the net consistently, and he has another opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of early serve and volleying here from Ferguson, and there's that lob I mentioned to you about. He's got a long reach when he gets that racket up there. So getting that ball down low to his feet is where Mironov would like to put it.
And Ferguson finally able to hold here in game number 1.
Yeah, and that's a really good hold. It's going to boost his confidence a lot. Faced a lot of tough points early in that game, was able to escape. You never want to drop your serve right in the beginning, opening of the game. Obviously, there's that pressure of serving first, but it'll be interesting to see the development. Ferguson showing a lot of his cards early, showing that he's going to be aggressive with the serve and volley, but we'll see who will be able to win the baseline battle here.
And do you think that James Ferguson a little surprised by Mironov? The longer you keep this 44-year-old man on the other side busy, normal logic would dictate that he'd get tired.
Yeah, well, he's in pretty good shape for a 44-year-old, but the more he's got to move laterally and the more he's got to dig deeper in the longer, rallies that are longer than 10 balls, obviously going to favor the younger Mironov, but all that serve and volleying can get you tired over a 3-set match.
Oh, Mironov with a lot of spin on that serve.
And that's not a bad strategy, too, just to kind of get Ferguson maybe a little off his game, also get Mironov a bit more comfortable with the serve.
Oh, beautiful backhand volley by Mironov.
And Sasha Mironov almost saying, anything you could do, I could do better. He's showing that he can come to the net early on, too. And a good setup here, high topspin ball to the backhand corner, and then just short slice at the edge of that service box.
Oh, and Mironov a little nonchalant, perhaps, as that unforced error costs him.
Yeah, didn't commit to this ball fully, so he just thought he could just scoop it over.
And Mironov into the net once again. Has got James Ferguson on the run a little, and we're at 30 all.
And that's what you want to do, right? You want to stretch him out, make him move side to side. Just couldn't execute with this slice here. Going to get under the ball enough.
Oh, and Mironov blows the two-handed backhand cross-court winner. And he's a point away from holding his first service opportunity in this match.
Well, Mironov's had to rely a lot on his baseline ground strokes in this game. First serve percentage pretty low right now, so after that first serve that he kind of spinned in there, he's trying to hit it with a little bit more pace now, but you can see he's not finding the range yet on the first serve.
Just too much for James Ferguson, and Mironov holds one apiece. We're on serve here in the opening set. You see Sasha Mironov, James Ferguson. Mironov, 18 years old. Ferguson, 44 years old.
And still going strong.
Indeed. And still with a pretty decent serve that proves a little difficult for Mironov to handle.
Got it. Oh, called out.
Very close. Mironov not in position, so Ferguson doing the courteous thing and waiting for him. Off the net cord. First service. Well, Ferguson wasn't going to let that one get away from him. And he's up 40 love here.
And Mironov keeps going to that lob when you coming to the net here. You see he opts for the lob, but that lob has to be really, really perfect to get over the tall Ferguson. So I'd like to see him try and drop that ball down at his ankles.
He moved up to take that serve, and Ferguson, no problem holding serve. And he leads 2-1.
And that's kind of the strategy you have to go against when you're playing a serve and volleyer. If you back up too far behind that baseline, you're going to give the serve and volleyer a really easy opportunity to drop in a volley short into the service box. So I like that little adjustment there from Sasha Mironov, just trying to move in, take it earlier, and see what adjustments that he can make. But so far, Ferguson has served really, really well off of that first serve, and it's setting some good points for him.
Mironov's just 18 years old. He won't be 19 until the 11th of September. And he's already, his highest world ranking, 1,677.
And he's just getting started. I mean, he's still got a lot of tennis ahead of him. So, but this is a good test for him. You always coming up against the experienced player. He's got to be really, really patient here, because Ferguson, he's going to get a lot of balls back into play, and he's going to be really wily too when it comes to serve and volleying, making good points, high first serve percentage. So Mironov's going to have to be careful not to get frustrated too early on.
I think that's his MO in this final, is just basically get the ball back and force Mironov to make mistakes.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many rallies above 5 or 6 balls yet. It's been pretty short serve and volley, quick kind of points. So it'll be interesting to see if Mironov will try and drag out the rallies here a little bit and start to run Ferguson around the court.
Court number 11 here at the Ottawa Tennis and Lawn Bowling Club. And an error there has went off the line, and the lines here are not painted on the clay. They are nailed into a wooden frame. Lovely little drop, and now Mironov into the open court.
Yeah, and the toughest thing, Dan, is when that ball hits right off the edge of the line, as we see here, the point before. Mironov almost a little nonchalant with that one too, and good legs here from Ferguson to get to that. But when that ball skips off of that line, it can really mess that serve or mess that return up, because it will skip up and jump up right on you.
And again, blowing it by Ferguson and painting it right in the corner. Couldn't place it any better.
Yeah, really good depth there, and of course that high bounce on the clay court is helping him out here, getting the ball up to shoulders height.
Mironov hits the tape. And very early in this one, unforced errors more than likely will dictate who the champion is for 2017. And Mironov leads that category 10-8 so far here very early in the opening set. Double fault by Mironov. His first. Member of the 2015 Canadian National Junior Tennis Team. Mironov into the net, and you'd think it was the young guy that was going to have the old guy running around. Ferguson had Mironov moving at his whim on that last point.
Yeah, Ferguson's really steady there on the baseline, and if you're Mironov, you got to move him around. You got to make him hit some shots where he's on the run and on the stretch. If you keep giving them balls down the middle there, it's going to be a long day for Mironov.
And we're at deuce. Just long on his first serve. And there's another double fault by Mironov. His second in this game. And now Ferguson with an opportunity for his first break. No, he couldn't get to that one. And deuce number 2.
That's some very clutch hitting there. Down break point, just really stepped into the backhand here. You'll see he's got Ferguson on the run, deep in the cross court, then he steps into the court here and just snaps that backhand. A really good play from the 18-year-old.
Great backhand cross-court volley by Ferguson. And he's got another break opportunity.
And once again, Sasha Mironov going for the lob, and that's about the 3rd time that hasn't worked. So that's something that he's going to have to adjust to and try and hit a couple passes. Ferguson's a good volleyer, but he's tall, so if you get it down into his ankles, make it hard for him.
James Ferguson would like to have that one back in deuce number 3.
Yeah, Dan, when you're trying to hit that ball down the line, then you got to be a little bit earlier here. As he tried to time it, but just wasn't able to get it down right. So he hits it just a bit too late, turns that shoulder in, and sends it long. And just interesting, too, on the Mironov serve, you'll notice that on this next ball here, he's tossing mostly everything to the left of his ear. So he's trying to put a lot more spin. He's not really going for too much on that first serve. Normally on that first serve, you toss it just a little bit more to the right. Get a bit more pace on it, but maybe safety is what he's going for early on here in this first set.
Oh, Ferguson puts him away.
That's one of the first extended rallies that we've seen in the match so far, and it's the 44-year-old James Ferguson who comes out on top here. But a good dig here from Mironov, and that's all really he could do is just make Ferguson play one more ball. But Ferguson covering the net very, very well. And we're back to deuce.
Deuce number 5. Advantage Mironov. Ferguson's opening service game. There were 5 deuces. And now Mironov, after 5 deuces, has an opportunity to hold. And Mironov hangs on. So 2 opportunities for James Ferguson to break serve, to break Mironov, and he battles back, and we're on serve here at 2 apiece.
Yeah, so far we've had a few very long extended service games, but no breaks so far. So a really steady hold by Mironov. It would be really easy to panic and go for a bit too much on some of those shots, but just doing enough to hold his serve for 2-all in the first.
had to go 3 sets in the semifinal against Simon Lavoie-Perouse, winning 5-7, 6-4, 7-5.
And there it is then, the difference when, I was about to say it again, he went for the lob, but Ferguson wasn't able to do much for it. But you'll see here, Mironov finally gets him here with the passing shot. So he'll give him the lob here, but Ferguson wasn't able to do enough with it. So he's going to need to keep doing that if Ferguson decides to come into the net.
Ball was out off the net cord and just a little long. Second service for Ferguson. Mironov puts that into the net. .40-15 as that goes off the frame of Mironov. Funny bounces off the clay sometimes.
Yeah.
Ace number 1 for Ferguson to finish off and lead 3-2.
Yeah, Ferguson's doing a lot more with his first serve here. Placed it a little bit shorter in that service box, gives him a bit more height, and it'll bounce up there toward the Mironov backhand. But he's definitely adding a lot more pace onto his first serve, whereas Mironov is just content with spinning it in with those kick serves to just try and get him into the point. So it looks like he's going to rely mostly on his baseline game to outlast James Ferguson here, but Ferguson showing us that he's ready for a tough match if that's what it calls for.
James Ferguson so far going to the net at every opportunity.
Yeah, and I think it's a good decision. You know, it's a lot of players aren't used to, I mean, especially in today's game, it's going to be a lot of baseline rallies. So when you get a guy who comes to the net frequently, and especially off of a serve and volley, it can sometimes surprise and even frustrate players. But Mironov has done a decent job in handling it well. But just to reiterate again, it's when he's going for that lob when Ferguson comes to the net, it's where it's got him in trouble. So once he starts to find the range a little bit more on the forehand and the backhand, he can get a bit more confident and go for some of those passing shots.
Mironov up quickly. And at the baseline, he'll get set to serve. And we're on serve here in the first set, the opening set of this 2017 men's final of the National Capital Tennis Association City Championships. Dan Mooney, Chris Cato, and our entire Rogers TV crew so happy to have you along for the ride. And Mironov just a tad heavy on that forehand. $15-all. And again, Mironov a little frustrated.
Looks like he might have broken a string, actually.
believe he did.
Yeah, oh, you can see it there too, just in that, roughly in the middle part of that string there. So he'll grab a fresh stick. It looks like it's actually a different type of racket. I'm not sure if it's the same model that he was just using, but
so and the half volley doesn't work for Mironov. And it's 15-40. Mironov now with no choice but to try and stay alive here. And Ferguson has 2 break points. For 3 with an opportunity to break is James Ferguson so far, but he'll get another opportunity here.
Yeah, I tried to rush that one a little bit, catch him off surprise by sneaking in, but I think he didn't have to do that. He already had Mironov a little bit on his heels in that rally, so just rushed it a bit, but still another chance for a break here.
On Mironov can't do it, and Ferguson gets his break.
Well, patience was the key finally here for Ferguson, but Ferguson, great mindset there just to drop it low. Mironov was coming in, didn't have that entire cross-court area covered, so he just drops it low at his feet, and of course so tough to volley in that angle, in that position. So Ferguson, after a couple of break chances, finally gets it, and now he'll look to consolidate the break with his own serve.
Leading 4-2. And looking to take a commanding lead here in this opening set. Let first service. Mark Ferguson, or Mark Armstrong rather, the chair umpire. Mironov says that was long.
Yeah, that definitely did look long from our side over here.
And Mark Armstrong will come down from his umpire chair to see the mark. That's one of the best uses or best reasons to play on clay, is because you can see exactly where the ball lands. It leaves a mark.
Yeah, and even on the professional circuit, they don't even use the Hawkeye challenge system. They just go old school by the mark. So the mark definitely doesn't lie in this case. So, but sometimes it's hard to tell which mark it is. So.
James Ferguson, 15 love. And Mironov, a little off his game right now, and maybe that new racket isn't the one he should have chosen. Maybe causing him a little bit of distress right now.
Well, it's difficult to tell if he's playing with the same model as he was before. It's usually a lot of players will have the same type of racket and just strung maybe at a different tension, but it's a bit odd to kind of change to a new type of racket in the middle of a match. But
necessity, sometimes the mother of invention.
Sometimes you just have to go with what you have, but Ferguson quickly up 40 love here and looking to take a commanding 5-2 lead.
And the overhead smash is long by Ferguson.
Yeah, didn't really get his feet behind that one there. Could have backed up just a couple of steps there, sent that one long. So yeah, it was just off balance moving backward. That's a tough shot to hit.
And Mironov into the net. A 5-2 lead as Ferguson holds serve. And with a break, he'll take the opening set. Surprise, surprise. The KG veteran is schooling the kid.
Yeah, I mean, Ferguson, very intelligent player and very patient too with how he's going about this match. But Mironov, the 18-year-old, looking a little slow here in the last couple of games. He's not moving his feet as well. He's not playing with that aggression and urgency that he needs to. But you can almost kind of sense that this first set is lost for him now. But it's about being able to hold now, maybe put some scoreboard pressure on Ferguson to serve out the set instead of getting broken here, which would be really important. But Ferguson, just a steady veteran, hitting all of his marks well, and his first serve percentage is very high. He's hitting it at a good pace, which is throwing Mironov off as well. So James Ferguson, he's been in this situation before, and it's clearly evident here with that 5-2 lead in the first set.
Well, in the 4 matches that Mironov played to get to this final, he had to go to 3 sets twice.
Yeah, and he's no stranger to coming from behind to win the matches. Like you mentioned, in that semifinal, came back from a set down to win that one. So that's the best part about these best of 3 matches, is you do have a chance to come back. But obviously playing from behind is always so difficult, especially against a guy like Ferguson who's really solid.
Mironov not getting any breaks. Great get by Ferguson. Mironov goes long, and Ferguson pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
And covering the court like an 18-year-old himself. A great play here by Mironov to try and serve and volley. A good pickup there, but Ferguson was all over it. And you can tell Ferguson just a lot more pop in his legs. He's moving with more intent than Mironov is, and he's looking to take this first set right here.
Mironov can't get it past James Ferguson at the net, and it's set point, triple set point for James Ferguson.
Yeah, it was just a little too nonchalant with that attempted backhand lob. He probably should have just gone straight at Ferguson.
Yes, the serve was long, the call was late, but Ferguson wins the first set, 6-2. And now Mironov questions it.
So you're saying the serve was long, but a very, very late call, as there were almost a few shots into that rally before we added. But there goes. The first set will go to James Ferguson.
Ferguson, the 44-year-old veteran, up against the 18-year-old and teaching him a lesson. He takes the first set, 6-2. We'll be back to the Ottawa Tennis and Lawn Bowling Club and the NCTA City Championships after the break. Welcome back to a beautiful afternoon for tennis. It's the 2017 National Capital Tennis Association City Championships and the men's final. James Ferguson taking the first set 6-2 over 18-year-old Sasha Mironov. Ferguson will serve to open the second set, just as he did to open the first. And the passing shot by Mironov gets by Ferguson, and I'm certain he'd like to have that one back.
Good sign early there for Mironov, though. It looks like he's learning a little bit from those first set mistakes. Didn't go for that lob, made intention with that passing shot, and worked out well.
One of the umpires getting in position. Mironov into the net once again. Unforced error number 20.
I'd like to see Mironov step in a little bit inside the baseline there on that second serve. Of course, with clay, with that higher bounce, that kick serve is going to be what most of these players will go to for their second. So to get that kick off and step in, take the ball a little bit earlier just to help with his timing.
(30-15) Ferguson. Service to the ad court. Big serve by Ferguson. Lots of cuts and spins, and the cut volley cross court by Mironov keeps him alive here in game number 1 of the second set.
Well, he anticipated this really well. A decent approach here coming in, but guessed right, but going down the line, and a beautiful volley directional back into the open court.
Mironov off the tape again.
Yeah, every time he's tried to hit that backhand just a little bit flat and directional, he's been catching that top of the tape. And he actually had a good chance in this rally. Decided to go with the higher percentage shot, which was cross court, but just didn't put enough topspin on that ball to get it over the net. And Ferguson was able to hold his opening service game.
Almost imperative now that Mironov holds service throughout the rest of this match, at least throughout the second set, to take it to a third where anything can happen.
Yeah, and the biggest issue was with that first set being broken on his serve. To lose the set, it means with Ferguson would start the second serving as well, so he's immediately got scoreboard pressure. So Sasha Mironov's got to be careful that he doesn't get too frustrated, that he holds his serve, or else this match could get away pretty quickly here. But I'm wondering if he's going to try and go for a little bit more on that first serve. He wasn't able to get a lot of free points off of his serve. So we'll see if he tries to get a little bit more aggressive here in the second set.
He knows how to win, this 18-year-old kid. He's done it at the junior level. He's trying to do it now here at the NCTAs. Through the legs by Mironov, and a great get by Ferguson.
And that volley from Mironov was right out of the top drawer. But a good scramble here. Excellent low slice here. But this pickup was really, really well done. But look at the legs and the footwork there from Ferguson. And Mironov trying to go for a little showtime there with the tweener, but unable to get it there.
Lots of stuff on that serve by Mironov, and Ferguson really not really much more of an opportunity other than to try to just get a racket on it. Man. 15-30. Mironov will serve to the ad court. And 30 all.
Probably one of the very only times that that serve out wide to the Ferguson backhand has actually worked for him. Really important point here at 30 all. Oof.
And a double fault by Mironov, his third of the match.
Yeah, and that toss got a little bit away from him there. And now this is the danger zone here. Mironov facing break point off the opening service game here. You might want to go back to that serve out wide here to the Ferguson backhand, but
sixth opportunity for a break by Ferguson in the match. And he does it. 3 for 6 on break points, and Ferguson leads the second set 2-love.
Well, this point could have probably been over one or two different times here, but that good lob there from Ferguson that just dropped into the court. And now he's got a commanding 2-love lead. And the worst case scenario for Sasha Mironov to start the second set being broken right away on his first serve.
And James Ferguson just looks great at this point. 44 years of age, playing against an 18-year-old, and Ferguson doing the teaching. He's a tennis teacher.
And this is a free lesson for Mironov.
Easy volley to the open court for Mironov.
And that's more of what he's going to have to do. And as with a lot of the older players that you get, they're not going to make a lot of mistakes from the baseline. So being able to put the pressure on them and a good little sneak in here to finish off the play at the net. But he's going to need to play a little bit more aggressive here and bring it to Ferguson. And even that from our angle there, Dan, that serve looked a little wide, but...
And that return looked a lot long. First service. Ferguson putting Mironov in a tough spot again.
And that was a really good volley by Ferguson. He was anticipating a low return there from Sasha Mironov. And we're seeing more of that serve and volleying that he did in that first set. That was really successful for him.
Just a little wide. Mironov paints the line, and Ferguson can't get it back. And we're at 30 all.
And you're seeing every time Mironov is able to step into the court and place the ball a little bit wide. This time it's the inside-out forehand that's going to do the damage, that's going to move Ferguson out wide. But he's having success when he's pushing out Ferguson deep into the court, and he couldn't get that back. So he's going to need to try and do more of that and be the aggressor here in the second set.
Ferguson just trying to stall a little bit. Maybe take Mironov out of his rhythm. Another one of the ploys of a veteran.
Oh.
And it works.
You wish you could have that backhand back that was sitting there right to him for him.
Off the tape again. Ferguson serving for this game. Second serve. And a double fault by Ferguson gets us to deuce. His second double fault of the match. James Ferguson with the shades. Actually, probably those light sensitive glasses. Forced Mironov to the baseline, and Ferguson has the advantage now.
He actually hit a really good return off of probably one of Ferguson's harder first serves of the match, but again, it's that lob that's just not good enough. He's got to, even if he goes hard in the middle at Ferguson, he'd have a higher chance of getting it done.
And we're back to deuce number 2.
And that's more of what you want to see there from Mironov, just stepping into the court and dictating the point. You see here, he just gets the shorter ball here. Ferguson, not much he can do with that deep return, and steps into it and forces the error out of Ferguson.
Great get at the net.
Got
Mironov down the line.
Advantage Mironov.
Well, surely the point of the day there. That had a little bit of everything. Lobs come into the net. That lob was much better there, stretching him out wide, and then Mironov on the run paints this and down the line and squeezes it right past Ferguson to earn himself a break point.
Mironov 0 for 2 with breakpoint opportunities. With the advantage here in game 3. Oh, great half volley by Ferguson to get it back to deuce.
I thought Mironov had him on that one. I don't know if it was the right choice for Ferguson to come in, but look at the hands on that one, just to reach over there and placed it right near the baseline.
So deuce number 3 here in game number 3 of set number 2. Ferguson taking the first, 6-2.
Oh, and a costly double fault.
Ferguson's third. And another break point opportunity for Mironov. He desperately needs a break here. And Mironov has that one go off the frame of his racket. And we're back to deuce number 4. So 0 for 4 is Mironov with breakpoint opportunities in this final. First service just a tad long.
See that kid, Sasha? Action. Advantage Ferguson.
It was called in.
Well, there you go.
I'm not sure if it was Mironov deferring the call to Ferguson, but
So James Ferguson with an opportunity to hold here. And just long. Back to deuce again as Mironov stays alive.
yeah, good read. Good job by Mironov not to panic after Ferguson's slice. Just nicked the top of the tape here. A nice little shovel forehand. You see that switch made there to that hammer grip, and was just able to shovel it over for a nice winner.
Mironov into the net. Now Ferguson with an opportunity to hang on. Advantage number 2. And he takes advantage. Mironov with 2 opportunities to break Ferguson. And he comes up empty-handed, and now Ferguson leads 3-love.
Yeah, really good hold there from Ferguson. That's got to be tough for Mironov. A couple of chances there to break, but wasn't able to do it. But Ferguson going back to his bread and butter, that serve and volley, and then finishes that overhead.
So Mironov, if you're looking at body language, James, there's Mironov. He just looks a little preoccupied with something else, and then you look at James Ferguson, who's just the epitome of focus. He's right now just catching his breath, but he knows what job he has in front of him, especially leading 3-love in the second set with a city championship at stake.
Well, a hold like that, being able to save multiple break points, is just going to give him that more confidence and that more belief that, okay, I can really take this 18-year-old to the woodshed, as you'd say, and finish this out in straight sets. But I thought Mironov played a very solid game there, and we saw him playing a lot more aggressive than he was in that first set, which earned him a couple of break points. But Dan, that's tennis right there. It's just a couple of errors here and there that could sometimes be the difference. And we might look back at this game and say, this is where Mironov kind of blew his opportunity to get right back into the match.
Mironov would be well served to take Ferguson to a third set. He's yet to go there this entire tournament. Great half volley and a great get by Ferguson down the line into the corner to lead love 15.
Yeah, that's just good court coverage there from James Ferguson. You'll see here that Mironov didn't do too much with this approach shot here and did a decent job in handling that volley, but Ferguson already anticipating that and was moving forward before Mironov could cover the down the line.
No chance for Mironov.
Love 30.
Well, danger zone here again for Mironov after having 2 break chances in the previous game on Ferguson's serve. He's close to looking at a couple of break points against his own serve, but again, Ferguson covering the court so well, using his height to his advantage.
Just wide. Off the tape.
15, 30.
Mironov remains alive in this one. Sasha Mironov, just 18 years old, from Stittsville. Ferguson was getting everything back except that last winner.
How about a Mironov serve and volley there just to shake things up a little bit? Good to see some good variety there from the 18-year-old.
Now getting things back to even terms.
Yeah, good get there by Ferguson just to make Mironov hit an extra shot, but calm and composed was Sasha just to get that volley put out and away.
That wide serve
40,
had
30.
Ferguson out wide, and Mironov just put him back with the volley to the open court. No return, and now Mironov with an opportunity to hold here and get to 3-1. Down the line, and Mironov holds to get to 3-1. Beautiful two-hand backhand winner down the line by Sasha Mironov.
Well, Mironov lined this backhand up with geometric precision, picks his spot, snaps the racket, and holds in a very, very good hold there for Mironov after looking a little dicey there at 30 all. But he's able to get on the board here.
It looked even dicier at love 30.
Yeah. Yeah, he was close to getting to drop his serve there, facing a couple break points, but that should give him a little more confidence now.
Love 15.
Blows that one past Ferguson. And now in the winner department, that's 14 for Sasha Mironov.
And a good number of those coming off that backhand side
And the volley goes wide.
love 30.
Unforced error number 19 for James Ferguson.
Yeah, that second serve just wasn't good enough there to come off of, and Mironov had a lot of time to put some heavy spin and good pace on that ball. Tough for Ferguson to handle. Nice volley.
Nice volley, backhand with the cut spin on it. No way that Mironov could get a racket on it.
Yeah, good response here from Ferguson, and excellent job of getting his racket out early here, catching the ball as early as he possibly can and stepping into it. Mironov had no chance.
Oh, down the line, a beautiful cut backhand by Mironov. And now he's got double break point.
And this was a really smart shot, a good play to go in behind Ferguson and kind of fooled him a little bit. Like, soften the hands. Ferguson thought it was going to be a nice little drop shot, just played it nice and deep into the court. And now Mironov, after facing a couple break points himself in that previous game, or well, could have faced some break points, now he's has a chance to break Ferguson here for the first time.
In this game, certainly 0 for 4 with break opportunities. And boy, could he ever use a break right here? Mironov getting the break that he needed, and now momentum has gone the other way. It was all James Ferguson. And now Mironov with his first break of the match. And he's down 3-2 here in the second set.
Yeah, I couldn't have come at a better time for him. It was roughly in that midway point through that second set. He had so many close opportunities, especially in this first set, to get hold of that Ferguson serve, and he finally was able to do it. But a lot of good points and good variety there from Mironov in that game to get the break, and now he's got the tough job of backing up the break to try and even out this match.
Sasha Mironov knows that he's in tough, and I'm just wondering whether or not that break would be enough to continue to have the breaks go Mironov's way. The first break of the afternoon against James Ferguson. And could that be a crack in the armor?
Yeah, and Mironov's starting to serve a lot better too off of that first serve. He's getting those percentages up, which is making Ferguson have to work a little bit harder. But as long as Mironov is able to sustain the pressure and make Ferguson hit shots out of his comfort zone. But obviously the toughest thing once you get that break is trying to consolidate it on your own serve.
Right down the line, Mironov once again.
Yeah, and he's having a lot more success with that. He's getting away from that lob that kind of got him in trouble in that first set, and he's opting for the down the line or cross-court passing shots, which has worked.
That backhand just too hot for Ferguson to handle.
Well, anytime Mironov has moved forward in this match and taken those balls early, as we see in this point, he's been winning most of these rallies and pinning Ferguson deep into the backhand corner. And then he would have been ready for that volley had it come over. But 30 love now here. This is a good start to the service game.
Oh, and Mironov just a little nonchalant there. Tried to drop it over the net.
Yeah, he didn't get his racket underneath the ball enough on this one. He hit actually a little bit down when it came and trying dropping this in, and that's why it went into the net.
Oh, and another forehand pass by Mironov.
Yeah, that net cord really could have messed him up, but I think it actually helped Mironov to get himself set again and get back into the rally. Oh,
Drops
he got
it in. We're back on serve here in the second set.
Well, how about a little afternoon showtime here at the OTLBC? Sasha Mironov feeling pretty confident, just comes in and says, yeah, I'll give you a little bit of pass there. One hand off of the racket.
Mironov now 19 winners to 12 for James Ferguson. Ferguson won the first set handily 6-2 and was quite comfortably ahead 3-1 here in the second set, but Sasha Mironov has come back and we're back on serve here in set number 2. Great get, great pass into the corner by Mironov.
Love 15.
Yeah, this is where Mironov has really improved here in the second set. He's been a lot more patient and smarter with his shot selection when Ferguson comes into the net, and he's been pretty successful in his passing shot so far.
Oh, had him going the other way, and Ferguson with the forehand winner gets back on even terms here in this game.
Yeah, I think Ferguson might try and go a little bit bigger here on his first serve to be able to set up that big forehand.
Ferguson was ready, Mironov was not.
Taking his time.
A couple of little head games going on. Ah, the vicissitudes of tennis. Oh, and again, Mironov caught trying to play the little drop shot and get Ferguson to keep his legs moving.
Yeah, I like that he's trying that low. I think he's missed quite a few drop shots today, but he's trying to just mix it up a little bit. You see him using that backhand slice there as well, and just a bit off with that touch on the drop shot.
And a double fault there by Ferguson.
Yeah, he's missed quite a bit of serves in this game. Maybe just slightly losing that rhythm, like you mentioned, Dan. Mironov taking a couple more seconds in between the points. Of course, you do have to play to the server's pace, but if he's not ready to receive, then you got to wait that extra couple of seconds, which does screw up your rhythm.
Too much backspin on that one for Ferguson to handle. And now Mironov with another break opportunity.
And one of the longer points of the match goes to Mironov here. And it was a little bit of the battle of the slice here in the middle of the point, but Mironov just dropped it, cut that ball nice and low over the net. And now all of a sudden, Mironov with the chance to keep the momentum going.
Oh, Mironov gets his break, his second of the set, and he leads 4-3 now. And James Ferguson getting a little slower and a little more deliberate in the way he does things here.
Yeah, not enough spin on that kick serve. That ball just really sat up there for Mironov just to do whatever he wanted with it. And he put it down the line and broke the Ferguson serve for the second time here in the second set. And we're seeing once that pressure is being put on Ferguson, that first serve percentage starts to drop a little bit. The amount of action and the spin that's on that second serve started to come off, and Mironov, really good response here. He's putting a lot more pressure here on Ferguson, and you can tell that Ferguson's definitely feeling it.
And now James Ferguson trying to replace the electrolytes he's lost in this one, as Alexander Sasha Mironov has got the 44-year-old running a little bit more in this second set than he did in the first.
Well, I hope he's got another Gatorade lying around, because he might need it for that third set. The way this is going so far for Sasha Mironov, but this is definitely not a straightforward game, and he's still going to have to hold serve here if he wants to continue this run here in the second set.
Mironov to serve. Hit it behind Ferguson, and Mironov ahead on the count again.
Yeah, he tried to fake this drop shot here a little bit. You can see he had a point like this earlier in the set and just came in with a short little slice, but a good stab volley there right to the backhand of Ferguson.
Ferguson with a little bit more pace comes to the net, and Mironov blows it by him for another winner. Winner number 22 in the match.
Yeah, Ferguson hasn't had any luck here in the last 3 games coming to the net. You can see him starting to hit a little bit flatter with more pace. The approach shot was not good, and Mironov had all the time in the world to pick his spot going cross court.
Oh, off the tape at the end, the baseline. Remember, these lines aren't painted on. They're actually nailed into the wood that frames the clay here, the hard, true green clay at the Ottawa Tennis and Lawn Bowling Club. And another mistake there by Mironov.
Yeah, Mironov's got to be careful here not to give this break of serve right back to Ferguson. He started off the game well, but now just a couple of untimely errors. Just was a little too open there with his body stance to that backhand and just drove that ball out wide.
Mironov trying to work Ferguson's backhand, and finally Ferguson able to send that one into the history books.
Yeah, this is one of the longer rallies of the match we had here, and you see Ferguson finally was able to change the direction with that down the line backhand, and a nice effort from Mironov just to make him hit this overhead, but Ferguson was all over it.
So now Ferguson with a break opportunity. And he gets it.
Game Ferguson.
4 of 7 for James Ferguson, and it's 4 apiece here in the second set.
Yeah, and you could see there that serve was just not good enough to come in off a serve and volley right to his forehand, sitting right in that strike zone above, below that shoulder height area. But if you're going to serve and volley, especially on break point, you want to put that ball out wide, a heavy kicker to the backhand, make him hit a shot outstretched and uncomfortable, but just didn't do enough there and kind of gifted that point right to Ferguson.
Back on serve. Down the line, Ferguson can't get it. Mironov with the fist pump. He likes that.
Yeah, I put a little bit of extra spin on this too, just to make sure it dived right into the court. See, he had Ferguson on his heels and then comes under the ball really nicely here. And that extra spin that he gives, it just made sure that Ferguson couldn't get his racket on it just to touch it over.
No chance for Mironov on that cut volley from James Ferguson.
And those are the kind of serves that you want to come in off of, just with a lot of pace out wide. It makes for a really easy volley into an open court.
Ferguson with a couple of chances, finally gets it past Mironov and got a little bit of a round of applause from the young 18-year-old.
Yeah, that overhead's been really steady today. Like I said, he's a pretty tall player, so the overhead's an easy one for him. It kind of looked like they were warming up the overheads there, the way Mironov put that back to him, but
wonderful half volley, and Mironov sends that away, and Ferguson with an opportunity to take a 5-4 lead here in this second set and look for a break to win the city championship.
yeah, and Dan, you can see the spin off this half volley. There was a lot of backspin to it, so from that backspin reaching forward there from Mironov, there was only one way that ball was going to go, and that was out.
And And Mironov just a tad wide, and Ferguson takes a 5-4 lead here in set number 2, and he'll look for a break against Sasha Mironov here to win a city championship in straight sets.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, the change of events where it looked like Mironov was going to run to a second set here and send us to a decider, and now he's got to serve to stay in this championship. But if you're James Ferguson, you want to put all the pressure that you can on the young 18-year-old here. He's serving to stay in the championship, so all the pressure is going to be on his shoulders. Ferguson can really go for it in this game and try and wrap it up here with the break of serve.
Very focused. Knows what he needs to do. And Mironov, with momentum going his way after getting a couple of breaks here in this second set off Ferguson, and then allowing Ferguson to get a break of his own and come back with 2 straight game victories to lead 5-4. What a point with Mironov with the forehand down the line.
15 love.
Dan, I was about to say this point looked a little bit tentative just with all those heavy topspin balls, but Mironov cut that slice like butter on a Sunday morning and then was able to just direct it into the open court. But really important there that he got that first point under his belt, as Ferguson was just trying to squeeze the air out of him.
And an error at the net by Mironov, and Ferguson forcing the youngster into taking perhaps chances he really didn't need to.
Yeah, he just didn't come in fast enough to cover that cross-court ball.
Oh, Ferguson with the beautiful pass, trying to get beyond Mironov, and Sasha Mironov now stretching his back. "17 winners for James Ferguson." Oh, not the net. Mironov handcuffed. And now, double championship point for James Ferguson.
And Dan, sometimes the easiest shot is the hardest one to hit. A couple of good stab volleys here from Ferguson. A good job to just keep this alive, not opting to go for the tweener. And just dumps this volley in the net. 2 championship points now for James Ferguson.
Mironov to the net with the volley to the open court. Stays alive.
Yeah, this was such a good point to play. Being down match point, Ferguson was just trying to keep the ball in play, hoping that the 18-year-old would make the error, but calm, composed, excellent shot selection. But he's still got one more championship point to fend off here.
Ferguson, 4 of 8 with break opportunities. Mironov gets to deuce.
Yeah, Ferguson played those 2 championship points really tentatively, almost like he was the one that was trying to save championship points. And Mironov getting out of jail here, but you notice on those Ferguson backhands, there wasn't a lot of spin or pace on them, just kind of shoveling them back into play. And it eventually goes against him.
Oh, Ferguson going up, and he's got another championship point.
Yeah, too heavy-handed there from Mironov with this drop shot. This is a shot he struggled with all day long today. Just not able to find that short range. Just too much height on the ball. And Ferguson, good choice here to go low to the Mironov backhand.
Oh, Mironov gets it back to deuce.
And once again, Ferguson just not doing enough to put pressure on Mironov. Mironov is not really going to make an unforced error from the middle of the baseline there. And it's Mironov, the one who's playing with a lot more freedom here, even though he's the one that is down championship point.
Back to deuce. He has life. Oh, what a great volley by Ferguson.
Advantage, Ferguson.
Well, what a way to earn yourself your 4th championship point. It looked like another one of those long rallies, but just sneaks in here. And Mironov, a great chance here, but good anticipation there from Ferguson. Just a nice stab volley there. Keeps that wrist nice and locked and just absorbs it into the empty part of the court.
Championship point number 4 for James Ferguson. Sasha Mironov sticking around.
Yes.
Well, Mironov seems to produce his best tennis when He's down championship point. Ferguson full stretch here to try and go for that down the line winner, but Mironov's anticipation at the net has been pretty good in the second set. And once again, back to deuce.
Deuce number 5. That's wide. Now Mironov with a chance to hold.
This could be really detrimental here for James Ferguson if he's not able to wrap up the match here. He had 4 championship points, and if Mironov can win this point, it could really be a huge shift in momentum and also just a big hit mentally for Ferguson.
Just long.
It was very close, Dan, and midway through the air, it looked like that might come down and drop into the court, but we're back at deuce again. Had Mironov stretching this point, a couple of good defensive slices just to keep himself alive, and yeah, very close in the end, maybe just an inch or two.
Oh, beautiful forehand winner by Mironov.
Yeah, and if I was Mironov, I'd keep going to that backhand. It might be because of the nerves or what have you, but Ferguson's not really doing too much with his two-handed backhand, just shoveling it back into play and sometimes opting for that slice. So Mironov should try and look to attack that wing. But once again, he's got his chance to get himself out of this game.
Oh, and Ferguson comes to the net again, and he makes it pay off.
Well, he's been using that all day today. He's done a really good job just sneaking in here at times, surprising. And Mironov decided to opt for the inside-in forehand and then come in off the backhand volley. But the most entertaining game so far of the match. Back and forth we go, and we're at deuce again.
Number 7. Ferguson unable to return that, and Mironov has yet another opportunity. To get back on even terms and back on serve. On serve here in the second set. James Ferguson leads 5-4. That's long. And that's game. 5 apiece. So Mironov staves off 4 championship points to stay alive.
Well, that was easy for him, wasn't it? Just a couple championship points here and there. Not a problem. Good composure from from the 18-year-old. And he was really the one that was in command in most of those points. James Ferguson should have been a little bit more aggressive. You've got nothing to lose. You're going for the match win. You want to play that a little more aggressively and put the pressure on your opponent. But now, after all of that, after being about a point away from having his hand on the trophy, he's now at 5-all in the second set. Let's see how he responds.
Into the net.
About 15.
Yeah, and this is where the danger area comes into play. After having such a big letdown in the previous game and then a miss like that. Yeah, I just was too far behind that. That overhead. Should have stepped into that a little bit more.
He's had so much success this afternoon with that overhead smash.
Turns out it's the one shot that let him down in this critical game here at 5-all in the second set.
Now he's just slowing things down, losing control of the ball and trying to regroup. One thing he doesn't want to do is have this match go to a third set. Oh, and the backhand pass on the return of serve by Sasha Mironov.
Well, if Mironov keeps hitting shots like that, the third set is exactly where this is going to go. Line this one up perfectly.
And Ferguson into the net.
About 40.
And a triple break point here for Mironov.
This can be such a cruel game, Dan. If you remember the first point of this match, or sorry, the first point of this game, an easy overhead for James Ferguson that he dumped into the net, and here he is now, love 40 after squandering 4 match points in the previous game.
And that's wide.
Mironov.
So Mironov now, with his third break of the match, will serve to take this to a third and final set.
Mironov leads 5.
Well, what a crazy change of events here. And the first half of this point is how Ferguson probably should have played one of the 4 match points that he had, just being aggressive with that forehand, but then just wasn't solid enough on that volley. Didn't need to be that good placing it out wide, and all of a sudden Mironov now serving for the second set.
4 championship points in the previous game for that man, James Ferguson. And he let Mironov off the hook.
And Ferguson is still very well in the set. Even if he breaks back here, he's got a chance in the tie break. Of course, tie breaks are sometimes up and down, and really 1 or 2 point can decide it. So if he can get in to these early rallies here, maybe get that first point, go up love 15, put some pressure here on Mironov. It's not all done and dusted as far as Mironov is concerned right now. He still has to serve this out to get it to a third set, but certainly a big letdown for Ferguson considering where he was about 5 minutes ago.
And he knows it too.
Yeah, you could tell just in some of the misses. Those are shots that he could have probably hit in his sleep in the first set and also leading up to this championship Sunday match. So it's when you squander those opportunities that start to play in the back of your mind, and execution starts to dip down a little bit. But let's see how Mironov responds now, serving for the second set.
Into the open court, the volley at the net by Ferguson.
And that's more of the type of points that got Ferguson here, being a lot more directional in terms of his ground strokes, not just putting heavy topspin into the middle of the court and then obviously covering the court very well when he comes to the net.
And anything you can do, I can do better. The winner from Mironov.
Yeah, I thought that was actually a really good kick serve here from Mironov. And when you're coming in for the serve volley, you have to make sure that that serve is good enough so that your opponent doesn't blast a clean winner past you.
Mironov can't get that, as Ferguson continues to attempt to end this match here in the second set.
Well, this was a good job by Ferguson after all the easy misses he had in his own service game. Just went for a high percentage here, just into the middle of the court, kind of switched that to a pancake grip.
No chance on that one.
Yeah, we talked about Ferguson's overheads today, but Mironov has been really, really solid in terms of his overheads, and he put some good spin on that, a little bit more slice on that overhead just to make sure that Ferguson had no chance. Really technically solid.
Mironov has it back to 30 all. He couldn't get to that one, and now Mironov will serve for the set.
Yeah, this was a really nice forehand here from Mironov. The ball dipping really low, really below under his knees. He's got to really increase that racket head acceleration to get that ball over the net. And it's earned himself a set point.
Oh, and Mironov wins the second set, 7-5.
Second set, Mironov.
1 for 1 with set points, and he does it with his first ace of the match.
Pretty good time to throw that first ace in there.
Ain't it, though?
A great serve.
We're going to a third set. James Ferguson wins the first one 6-2. Mironov, the 18-year-old, comes back, wins the second one 7-5, and the third one should be a dandy. We'll have it for you after the break. You're watching the 2017 National Capital Tennis Association City Championships only on Rogers TV. Welcome back to the Ottawa Tennis and Lawn Bowling Club, the site of the 2017 National Capital Tennis Association Men's City Championship. James Ferguson won the first. Alex Mironov comes back to win the second 7-5, and we're headed to a third and final set to determine the 2017 Men's National Capital Tennis Association champion. James Ferguson, in your picture with the fresh shirt, will serve to start this third set. Dan Mooney, Chris Cato, and our entire Rogers TV crew, so pleased to have you along for the ride. It's been quite a ride here in the first two sets. Took a rather long break between the two sets, Chris, and the momentum was on Mironov's side at the end of the second set. Maybe the break will cool him off a little, as it were, by and large, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's common to see, especially after you lose a set, to kind of take a quick bathroom break. You know, replenish, maybe change a t-shirt or so, and kind of gather your thoughts. But it'll be interesting to see who comes out here with a little bit more intent. And we'll see who's really going to be playing to win instead of playing not to lose.
Into the net.
Love 30.
Unforced error number 29 for James Ferguson. Late call. Mironov caught that
15-30.
off the toe of the racket.
Yeah, he broke a string earlier in that first set, but he's kept it clean since then. As we see the sun starting to peek out a little bit through the clouds, making it a little bit harder for our video guys in the truck, but makes it very nice and calm for us here courtside.
And the lob works this time for Sasha Mironov.
Yeah, Ferguson kind of got caught a little bit in the middle there, didn't fully commit to the net, and Mironov had plenty of time. And that was the best lob that he's hit today.
Double break point for Sasha Mironov, here to start this third set.
Yeah, he's picking up right where he left off. And it's the 18-year-old that comes out with a little bit more urgency here in this opening game.
First service just wide. And Ferguson hits that wide, and Mironov gets break number 4 of this match against James Ferguson to lead 1-0 in this third and deciding set.
Well, you can see Ferguson wasn't getting that full extension that he was. You see that last shot too was really bent arm, and that forehand didn't create enough separation between him and the ball for a nice clean full swing. So maybe a little bit of a surprise here that James Ferguson kind of comes out here in this third set a little bit sluggish.
Getting a little nourishment too. Little gorp in the bag. Good old raisins and peanuts. Energy food to get you through on a rather warm afternoon out there if you're out banging them around.
Yeah, these are perfect conditions. Not a lot of wind. It's not too hot either. It's just right. to play tennis here, and predictable conditions too in terms of the wind and the humidity as well. So it makes for a perfect setting here for Championship Sunday.
And Alex Mironov started very, very slow.
Mironov to serve.
Came back in the second set, hung on to win it, and now leads 1-love in the third.
15-love.
Mironov blowing that by Ferguson.
Both aces coming down the tee for him.
Second ace of the match for Mironov. Oh, 40 love for Mironov.
That's not a good sign for Ferguson if Mironov's starting to get comfortable at that backhand winning, hitting it down the line from the baseline.
And Mironov just unable to get it down the line as Ferguson was charging to the net for that cross-court volley.
Yeah, he's done this a lot today where he just kind of sneaks in off of a decent approach shot. It wasn't the best approach shot that he's hit today, but sometimes just rushing straight into that net kind of messes your opponent up a little bit.
So Mironov leads, holds serve, leads 2-love.
Leads 2-love.
Here in set number 3. And who'd have thunk this, Chris Cato?
4 championship points, and 10 minutes later, Sasha Mironov's got a 2-love lead in the third set.
Ferguson desperate to hold on to serve here. And the 44-year-old legs a little bit more difficult to move around as the lactic acid starts to burn.
And you're going to see him too start to lose a little bit of power on the first serve.
Mironov just keeps hitting him back, and that's long. Pretty love for James Ferguson.
Correction, 30-love.
And Ferguson will dictate the pace of play here in this third set. Try to conserve as much energy as he possibly can. Just one. Oh, the drop shot's working now for Mironov as he gets it to 30-15. And you look at that scoreboard. Here's the replay.
Yeah, you see Ferguson just slipped a little bit here. That's one of the problems with clay, that you can lose your footing sometimes too, especially if you don't have the proper shoe. And then Mironov finally executing on a good drop shot.
Boy, these players, talk about it being an even match. Both players have 11 game wins. Both players have 4 breaks. Winners very, very close. 31 to 23 in favor of Mironov. And unforced errors. 36-28, Mironov. So everything about this final, with the exception of the 26-year age difference between the two players, has been fairly even. Oh, lovely little half volley there by Ferguson. How nice was that?
Oh, he really had to soften the hands to try and get this one over. So little room for error in this one, but just touches it over. And a nice little kiss to get it over the net.
And that's out. And Ferguson holds to stay alive here in perhaps the most important service game of this match for James Ferguson.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to start this first set going down 0-3, so good hold. Pressure comes now back onto Mironov's serve, as he still has that 1 break lead advantage.
Sasha Mironov, 18 years old, from Stittsville, Ontario. Winner of many junior tournaments, starting to play in the senior circuit now. And apporting himself quite nicely, getting to this final here at the NCTAs. But no stranger to winning. So many junior tournaments. Wore the maple leaf for Canada. As a 16-year-old in 2015.
Yeah, and he's at that point now where he can start entering, of course, the higher level tournaments, now playing with men of all ages too, even today playing against a 44-year-old. But his junior days now are pretty much behind him, as he'll be stepping into the next part of his career. So it's only going to go up for Sasha Mironov, but it's also going to get a lot harder now as the competition gets stiffer, and he plays a lot of different types of styles, as we see here today against somebody like James Ferguson. But we've seen a lot of good play out of the youngster.
2 weeks and a day away from birthday number 19. Too hot for Mironov to handle. And the winner for Ferguson is his 25th of this match.
And it's the down the line backhand that really did the damage here for Ferguson. Just stepped into that one really nicely. It was one of the better backhands he's hit in a while.
Timing a little off for Ferguson. It's 15 all. Just long on the lob. Ferguson so much more controlled here in the early goings of this third set than he was at the tail end of the second.
Yeah, he's playing with a little higher margin for error, but he's playing a little bit more aggressively too. See a nice changeup with that slice down the line. And the wind maybe just pushing that lob a little bit out of the court, but a half chance here for Ferguson. Oh, and he's going to want that return back. That was a sitting kick serve there for him that he should have got back into play.
This match a little over 2 hours old now. That one just in too tight for Ferguson to return it. And we're at deuce.
And there was that first chance there for him to get that break back, but dumps it straight into the net.
After making 4 break points in a row, Ferguson has been stalled. Now 4 for 12 on the match. Great job by Mironov to get it back, but
Advantage Ferguson.
Ferguson right at the net to play it into the open court. And he's looking at another break point.
Yeah, Ferguson just played him smart with that lob, and Mironov hit the deck trying to get that one back, but
second break point of this game. 13th opportunity for Ferguson on the day.
oh,
And Mironov hits that out. And Ferguson gets his break, and we're back on serve here in the third set.
well, similar to that overhead that Ferguson dumped into the net at the end of that second set. Again, it's the easy shot for Mironov. Just a sitting volley there right about chest level and just sends it long. And now just to add another page in the chapter of this match here, we're back on serve 2-all in the third.
Oh, beautiful top spin, forehand pass on Ferguson. Didn't even make a play on it.
Yeah, that's just too good. He's really nothing you can do in that point, but Mironov was able to read the serve, leaned over to his right a little bit. Good connection with the ball.
Oh, Ferguson coming back with a vengeance here. Gets the winner. And that net cord just slid off the top. Might have been enough to throw him off, but he was alert. Ferguson just unable to get that one back. And now it's Mironov with a slight edge here in the 5th game of the 3rd set.
Yeah, back and forth they go, trading point after point. What a game this would be for Mironov if he could break the Ferguson serve right away.
A 44-year-old against that. There's the 44-year-old. Sasha Mironov, just 18. And Ferguson shows him how it's done. 30-30.
Serve was called out.
Oh, looked pretty good from this vantage point. Second serve for Ferguson.
Game.
And
Correction. 15-40.
Mironov now with a couple of break points, much to the chagrin of James Ferguson. Now, these are the things you have to shake off, Chris Cato. You can't let a bad call throw you into oblivion. Ferguson's got to regroup and just
Definitely
have a cooler head prevailing.
easier said than done. Let's see what he does here.
There,
Good serve.
got one. Another break point here for Mironov. Second serve. And Mironov plays that out. And Ferguson battles his way back to deuce, and that's how you get over a bad call.
Yeah, good response from him. It would have been easy just to dump a ball into the net here, but you can see both players just playing with a little more margin for error, putting some more spin on that just to make sure the ball is kept in play. That first serve from Ferguson, he's not really finding it here in this game.
Oh! Break there for Mironov as the ball hit the tape and rolled over, and Ferguson just unable to return it.
Well, sometimes, Dan, you just need a little help from your friends, and this time it's the top of the net tape that just squeezes over. And Mironov actually just apologizing to the net tape maybe there in that case. So we've seen a couple of those here today, and finally one that kind of goes in the favor of Sasha Mironov.
Another break point here for Mironov. Oh, he gets Ferguson's break back. And Mironov wins. It leads 3-2. And Ferguson just perplexed as it skips off the tape once again.
Well, when it's going for you, it's going for you. And now when he hits off the tape, and he's definitely happy about that one. He'll take it any way he can get it, but when you're playing well, those are the types of bounces that you can get to go your way. And once again, he's in the driver's seat with a break in this final deciding set.
So now the onus is on Ferguson to climb back. He got a break in the fourth game, and Mironov came back to get a break of his own, but Ferguson looking a little frustrated at this point, not nearly as focused in the breaks as he was earlier in this match.
Yeah, he's had a couple of calls that have went against him, and we remember that in that previous game he had that game point where he thought he had won it with the volley at the net, and then call got overturned because his serve was long. So those are really easy to kind of frustrate you and lose your focus, especially off of game points. But
Ferguson with 4 championship points in the second set.
Yeah, not to mention those.
That he let slip through his fingers. And that's what we're playing for. Trophy emblematic of the men's open division here at the National Capital Tennis Association City Championships. Ferguson into the net. Unforced error number 31.
And Dan, we just saw a shot of those trophies. Ferguson on 4 occasions was 1 point away from having his hands on that trophy, and now he's up against it here in the third set.
So Mironov ahead in this one. Ferguson came back from a bad call, got the last game to deuce, and then Mironov broke back at Ferguson. Oh, he let it go, and the backhand gets by him. Winner number 35 for Sasha Mironov. Mironov holds to lead 4-2.
Yeah, there's that crucial consolidation of the break from Mironov, and you can tell just Ferguson not as sharp as he's been through that first and part of the second set. Just didn't bring that racket up high enough, hit that ball out really late, and just dumped it in the net, and now Mironov finally gets that hold to serve to leave 4-2. 2 games away now from the championship after being down 4 championship points himself at the end of that second set.
Just long on that return of serve. Mironov questioned it.
I think Mironov just wanted a vocal confirmation from one of the line judges.
That was just in.
A little bit closer than I think it needed to be there from Ferguson, but in the end he gets it. I think this was just at the edge of the line here of that service box.
He got up and hammered that.
Trying to go a little Pete Sampras-like there on that finish.
Or Tom Clements in the 76 Grey Cup.
30-15.
Double fault. Number 5 for Ferguson. It looks like he's running out of gas, Chris. Oh! Blows the forehand by him, and Ferguson's down. Not hurt, just exhausted.
I think he felt like he was going down anyway, so might as well just go all the way down to the ground. This was a very long rally, which is favoring Mironov here, and just picked a good spot to go, squeezing it down the line. But yeah, like you said, Dan, it just looks like Ferguson's starting to really lose his energy level, and the commitment to those shots isn't there as it was in the first 2 sets. And taking a lot of time here between points. It looks like Mark Armstrong, our umpire here today, not enforcing a time violation rule, or
Might see Jimmy Connors when he was 39 in the U.S. Open in his semifinal run. Oh, great get by Mironov, and a better volley by Ferguson.
good response here from Ferguson after hitting the deck on that last point. Just covered the court really well here. And again, he's been doing this all day today. Coming to the net, finishing with the volley. Now he has game point.
Oh! Sasha Mironov with another gift at the net. And he lets that go.
Well, I was thinking something like this was going to happen. Just notice Mironov's court position after this lob. He's staying roughly at that service line, but he knows the lob is coming. And then just lets up on this. He's too far away from the ball. He should have stepped in a little bit more onto the court because that lob was short and it was coming. He would have had an easy overhead, and instead made an absolute mess of that volley.
So Ferguson holds to trail 4-3. Mironov will serve and then try to break Ferguson to win this and win it in a fashion that's just so unbelievably unlikely in consideration of just how strong James Ferguson came out to win that opening set 6-2.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the ending won't be as simple as maybe it looks like. All Mironov has to do is just finish out the serve and hold his serve, and he'd be the champion here. But of course, the way this match has gone, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen because it's been back and forth all day. But if Mironov can just hold on to his serve, he could get his hands on that trophy that he almost lost at the end of that second set.
Sasha Mironov, 18 years old, out there, ready. James Ferguson, 26 years, his senior, taking his time and preserving as much energy as he possibly can to finish off this third and final set. Little long, Ferguson. And Mironov up a break here in the third set, leading 4-3.
It's always mentally important, too, just to get that very first point of the game, go up 15-love on your own serve. Just makes you feel a little bit more comfortable when the pressure's on you.
Ooh, that went in. Another mistake by Ferguson.
Yeah, it was this backhand coming in that really did the damage. You see that extra little step that he took just to get himself set up was really nice.
Painted the corner, and Mironov got a racket on it, surprisingly, but couldn't return it. And Ferguson, 1 point away from back on even terms. And boy, did he ever paint that line.
He was walking up to that one. I know he had time, but I was a little concerned with some of the previous overheads that we've seen in this set. But picked a good spot to put Mironov out wide. But
Go!
40-15 as Mironov blows that past James Ferguson.
yeah, a little bit of hesitation there from Ferguson. Definitely the shot wasn't good enough to come in off of, but good spot there for Mironov just to squeeze it out in that backhand corner. It gives him game point.
And off the tape again, but didn't get the bounce this time. So Mironov serving to go up 5-3, leading 40-30. And that would definitely put James Ferguson in a bigger hole than he sees right now down a break. I can't believe Ferguson got that one back, and then he got handcuffed. So it's now 5-3, and Mironov will look for a break here from Ferguson to get his hands on some hardware.
I thought Mironov was a bit lucky just to get out of this rally, too. He played a couple of tight points, especially off of that first serve, too, that he just dumped into the net. But luckily, he drew the error there from Ferguson. And now, after saving 4 match points at the end of that second set, Mironov is 1 game away from the championship.
First serve, a bite long. Ferguson long, just opening up on that forehand. Mironov, low 50. Ferguson let that one go by.
30.
Love 30. 2 points away.
Well, you can see it now. Mironov sees the light at the end of the tunnel now, 2 points away. Everything working for him so far. Gives a little fist bump there.
Ferguson will take his time. Just long.
15-30.
Just long. And a championship point for Mironov.
Well, we know the last time what happened when somebody on this court had championship points. They let them go away. Let's see if Mironov can turn the tables here. What a change of events in this match.
Converted 5 of 11 break points. It's over. Sasha Mironov is your 2017 men's champion here at the NCTAs. Wow, what a match. What a match. Sasha Mironov converting 6 of 12 breakpoint opportunities. Every time he had an opportunity to win a set, he did it. And boy, James Ferguson is left to wonder what might have been after having 4 championship points slip through his fingers in the second set.
Well, this is a really tough one to swallow. And, you know, we talked about it off the top of the show, whether the experience factor would come into hand. And it turns out that it's the 18-year-old saves 4 match points and is composed and calm enough to be able to just outlast the 44-year-old. And James Ferguson was playing some really good ball, especially in that first set and in the second set as well. But that's the sport of tennis for you. You could be 2 minutes away from being in the locker room, and he's able to turn it around, and an hour later he's now got 2 hands on the trophy as the 2017 NCTA city champion.
Geez, Mironov started so slow, and he just looked so discombobulated in that first set. James Ferguson just came out and played him remarkably well to win 6-2. And then the turning point in the second set, when Ferguson had an opportunity to go up 3-love. We got a break. Mironov got a break and just started to chip away at James Ferguson. And the 18-year-old just made the 44-year-old run out of gas.
Yeah, and they exchanged a lot of breaks, too, early in that third set. Mironov broke right away, and then Ferguson was able to break back, and it looked like he might regain control of the match. But Mironov, in the end, was just able to outlast him a little bit more. Like you said, Dan, Ferguson might have just ran out of gas a little bit at the end. Maybe that's where the age factor really came into hand. But an exceptional performance. This is a victory that Mironov is going to remember for quite a long time. And this will be good for him to build on going forward in the rest of his career.
Sasha Mironov, 18 years old from Stittsville. No stranger to championships. As a junior, gets a win as a senior. He wins it 2-6, 7-5, 6-3 over James Ferguson in a thriller of a final here at the 2017 NCTA's City Championships. For Chris Cato and our entire Rogers TV crew, I'm Dan Mooney. Thanks so much for the company. So long from the Ottawa Tennis and Lawn Bowling Club.